know, Donald Trump is attacked a lot because he talks about the last election in 2020. And the usual reply to him is, where's the evidence of the fraud? Now, this is an amazing thing. This would be the only election in American history that had no fraud whatsoever. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that corrupt media hasn't found a single instance of fraud, and yet more and more instances of fraud have been found? Would there be enough to overturn the election? How do I know? But why does that even matter? Aren't we against fraud in our elections? I would think so. Now, what I've been focusing on, of course, is the United States Constitution. That's my zone. And particularly Article 2. Only the state legislatures, only the state legislatures get to make election laws that affect the choosing of electors who choose presidents and vice presidents. How do I know that? It's specifically in the United States Constitution. Only state legislatures, not governors, not state judges, not boards of elections, not attorneys general, only the state legislature. That was violated in several states, including Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, other states as well. And the matter was brought to the attention of the Supreme Court, and apparently 3 justices were very interested in hearing about it. But they couldn't get a 4th. And it takes 4 out of the 9 justices to take a case up. And it's too damn bad. Because I want to remind you, in 2000, as Al Gore tried to litigate his way into the presidency, the U.S. Supreme Court eventually did take it up. But we had a different Chief Justice, William Rehnquist, a great Chief Justice, not so much like Hollywood Roberts right now. And the Florida legislature was taking it into its own hands under Article 2 to select the electors. Now, it's not the preferred way, don't get me wrong, but it's absolutely unconstitutional for a state Supreme Court, elected members in particular, like in Pennsylvania, but a state Supreme Court to change the election laws to benefit its preferred party. The Florida Supreme Court was made up, I believe, of all Democrats. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has 7 members, 5 of whom were elected Democrats, who were strongly backed by the teachers' unions and so forth. The Republicans were flat-footed when they had the elections for the state Supreme Court. And so they got 5 radical Democrats, 2 rhinos, and a partridge in a pear tree. Anyway, that's what they got. And so under Pennsylvania's law, like federal law, the state legislature determines what the election laws are. So those were changed in significant respects. Whether or not it would have changed the outcome or not is really beside the point. How can you know in advance? And so the bar that the media, that the never-Trumpers, that the Democrats keep putting out there is an impossible bar. You and I can't prove a negative. We're not there. We can't count all the ballots. We weren't watching all the drop boxes. But what we do know is this was important enough for the Democrats to change the laws in many states. They brought hundreds of lawsuits. They made scores and scores of contacts to their favorite governors, their favorite attorneys general, their favorite secretaries of states to make changes, even in certain precincts. You have Zuckerberg spending $417 million to effectively control and take over local election boards, particularly in Democrat areas. And if these local election boards, even at the precinct level, did not comply with the demands of the grants that they were given by Zuckerberg, they would lose the grants or they'd never get them in the first place. So you have a billionaire on the left who owns Facebook, effectively buying control over the local election process. Doesn't that bother anybody? Well, that wouldn't have affected the outcome of the election. I don't know that either. But isn't that a problem? I think it is. And I could go on and on and on. But here's the thing. You're not allowed to talk about it. No. There were 60 lawsuits, 66 lawsuits, 61 lawsuits. They don't even know. Challenging the results of the elections. Even the legal analysts, they say the same thing. And not a single judge, not one, not a single judge admitted that there was evidence of fraud. No, what happened is almost none of the judges, to my knowledge, none of them, bar 1 or 2, would even hear the case. So that's demonstrative of exactly nothing. So putting 2020 behind us, here's the thing. The things that were done in 2020 must not be done in 2022 or 2024. or we can't get an honest and fair election. The things that were done in 2016 to Donald Trump and the Republicans, by the Obama-Biden administrations, by the FBI, by the intelligence agencies, by Washington law firms that were money laundering funds from the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC, to others, to put up a phony document that the corrupt media ran with for 2.5 years. That literally triggered a criminal investigation against the President of the United States. That's the big crime. That's the big phony fraud that took place in 2016, and yet he still won. Now, why am I going through all this? Very simple. I keep hearing, and it's very frustrating to me, I'm one of the few people behind a microphone who literally worked the precincts when he was a teenager, who ran for the school board and got elected when he was in law school, on a board that had 9 members that voted mostly 8-1, I was the one, or 7-2, the 2 youngest guys, wanting tax limitation, trying to eliminate some of the preposterous courses, taking on the local National Education Association union, and so forth and so on. 8-1, 8-1, 7-2, 8-1. These elections are crucial. But what's bothering me, particularly in the media, particularly the Washington politicians showing up as special guests, particularly the phony experts who come on, who worked mostly in the Bush campaigns, but you understand, I see a red wave. I see a landslide. Ladies and gentlemen, that's rope-a-dope. If we don't turn out in massive numbers, if each of us don't do more than we normally do to make sure like-minded citizens vote, whether they're in our families, our friends, our neighborhoods, our colleagues, our co-workers, there won't be a massive red wave. It won't happen. And in these primaries, most of which are over now, the selection of the right Republican is crucial. Not just to win the general election, but to advance the cause of liberty. We're not interested in never-Trumpers and rhinos and their ilk who sit in office, who count their toes over and over again, who don't want to make any waves, who don't comprehend what's swirling around us, this American Marxism, and don't see the world as we do, which is we're at the precipice looking into the abyss. We can't afford to lose this election or the next one. And it's not about so much the Republican Party or even the candidates. It's about our country. It's about our future.